saying no to kitchen remodels.
Yeah, I mean, Chris.
Good evening. It's Wednesday at 9 p.m. I am Mike B. This is the Whatnot podcast, where we put the what into whatnot.
I'm Chris, and Mike sounds like he's in a sub.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was.
all of a sudden.
It was like,
Does
Yeah,
it sound a little better?
I was figuring it was just my really bad internet connection up here on the mountain, but glad that wasn't it.
try that again, Mike.
So how's it now? Any
Oh,
better?
look at that. We have Mike here with Whatnot Podcast, and I'm Chris. And we're with WoodShopMike. What's your name? WoodShopMike?
Mike.
Oh, okay, Mike. Okay, yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, John and Michelle. All right. So, yeah, if you don't know WoodShopMike, you should go check out woodshopmike.com. How long have you been doing the DIY projects, tutorials, and creating plans?
I don't remember. I think 2013 is when I got started. And it was just kind of to document what I was doing in my first shop after, being in college.
Okay. So is that how you got started? Was right out of college, needed a project? What do you remember starting first that really got your bug for woodworking and DIY?
Guitar building, actually. So when I was in high school, I apprenticed with a luthier, and what's cool is I was able to do that as a like a vocational study or something like that. So basically, I got to leave school early and go, do something I wanted to do, and that's what got me into woodworking.
Cool.
That sounds a lot more fun than English.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And Chris, you had the same experience, right? Good evening, Kyle.
Yeah. I my senior year, I got to leave at like 12 or 12:30, something like that, to go work at an apprenticeship program at Royal Hill Furniture.
Oh, very cool.
Well, it was a way to get out of school and do different things, but I knew that I did not want to go out of school and work in a furniture factory. So I did learn that much from it for sure.
Lessons learned.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it for free too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All righty. So, I found, let's see, I'm trying to think when I first met you, Mike. It was probably around the 2012, 13, 14 era at AAW.
Yeah, it was we met at a Klingspor in Raleigh, I believe, first. Trend was doing a demo, and it was a wood turning club demo, and then we met again at AAW in Raleigh.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute. It feels like it's been a long time now that I think about it, but
yeah.
What's great is there was something. Oh, see, I'm going to get it wrong now because I can't remember what it was. But my wife was looking up ideas on YouTube and things like that, and she sent me this one, it was something about the porch, your guys' porch that you redid in conjunction, I think, with Home Depot.
Yeah.
And it was showing me some of the ideas for the flooring or whatnot. And I'm thinking to myself, and I didn't want to say that I knew exactly who that was because she's always like, yeah, okay, yeah, you know him. It's like I got a giggle at it because I'm like, absolutely, I'll sit and watch this video for sure. I know this will be a good quality content.
I appreciate your view. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the chicken coop.
Yes.
So I noticed that there's been a lot of chicken coops. Is that now becoming like a business?
You know, I set up my business to have multiple streams of revenue because I want to first and foremost be a content creator. But around content, I do custom woodworking for people generally in the greater Atlanta area. And then I make plans that can be purchased around those projects. So when I first went full time, we were just, kind of trying to see what, what kind of projects there were. And my wife was looking around on Facebook Marketplace. There was another blogger actually in the Atlanta area that needed a chicken coop. So her blog's around, farming and the lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. So she had basically put out an RFQ on Facebook Marketplace. I got in touch with her, and that's what kicked off all of the chicken coop stuff. I think now I've done 7 or 8 for people, around the country, and I have one more on the books that's supposed to start either end of this week or early next week, and we'll see what happens from there. But I enjoy building them because, like, it's easy to build them more or less, and it's kind of fast. But I'm not super well set up to build them because I get all kinds of funny looks driving down the highway in an F-150 with a 10-foot tall chicken coop that's 14 feet long. And people are just kind of like, what? Especially the last one, because it was painted real nice white, had a galvanized roof, and then stained doors and rubbed brass hardware. It looked like $1 million going down the road, and I could just see the heads turning like, where is that guy going with that thing? And why is he driving an F-150 and not like something much larger? So
you need to get you a sign when you're going on for deliveries and say just something like, we're flying the coop or something like that.
Yeah.
Something fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So between that and the custom furniture, I stay busy.
I'd say, yeah. And with the custom furniture, tables?
Yes. Tables, case goods like nightstands, so on and so forth. Do some cabinetry but that's only local. I'm not going to ship cabinets. That's for Home Depot to deal with.
There you go. No, because I noticed, so with your turning, you've also do the actual legs. Like you turn or you will copy a leg. If someone says, hey, I really like this leg, can you recreate it? I've noticed you started doing a lot of that too, duplicating, if you will.
Yes. So wood turning is something that I, kind of really got into in college, and I love it. But with the CNC that I'm just now finishing setting up in the shop, it has an indexer on it. So I'm really excited about that because now I can turn table legs on the indexer, and I don't know, I kind of hate to not have a reason to use the manual wood lathe, but at the same time, when time is money, it'll be nice to just be able to set that on the machine and go and do something else like sand.
Yeah, sanding. Yeah,
it's good stuff.
That's what everyone's looking forward to.
Yeah.
Well, there's always good reason to sand, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. So what kind of CNC do you have?
It is a ShopBot PRS Alpha, and it has a 4x8 table, and then the indexers on the back side of that. So it actually takes up a 5-foot by 10-foot footprint, and then it's got a big vacuum pump underneath it. I could not believe it. So we just got the vacuum board, laid out and surfaced and everything today. And we turned on the vacuum, and like, you can't feel the vacuum pulling through the table because it's just a solid sheet of 3/4 inch MDF. But if you lay a piece of material on there, you cannot move that piece of material. Like it's pulling that much vacuum through a full sheet of MDF. It's kind of mind blowing.
So did you think MDF was originally solid until you saw that?
No. I mean, I knew it was porous, but still, you think about something like that, and it's just amazing that it pretty easily pulls that much vacuum through it.
Are you going to
figured there'd
seal
be
your
holes.
Yeah.
So what?
Go ahead, Mike.
No, that was it. What were you saying, Chris?
I was going to say, are you going to seal the edges of your wasteboard, or just let that be a place to lose some suction? Some people don't. Some people do.
Yeah, I do plan on sealing it up, but so there's actually a technician from ShopBot that's out until tomorrow, and he was telling me, like, you don't really need to seal that up because this pump pulls so much vacuum. It just moves so much air that it's not even necessary. It's, I mean, the thing is gigantic. The pump and motor together weigh 800 pounds, so it's huge.
It's
And
substantial.
yeah, it has a 10 horse motor. The motor for the vacuum pump is bigger than the motor for the CNC. It's just kind of silly.
It's like a golf ball through a water hose.
Yeah, pretty much. Probably could.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Did you get the tool changer by chance?
Yes. So it does have an automatic tool changer. It'll hold 9 tools, and just got that kind of up and running. That was the last thing we did today, was got the sequencing for the tool changer going. So it's pretty cool.
No, I'll be down in a week, and you can show me how it all works.
Come on, we'll have you. Yeah, it's really neat.
Say good evening to Nick from Stated Woods.
So, what software are you planning on running with that?
So I'm running VCarve Pro, but I do all of my design in SolidWorks. I've been a SolidWorks user for better part of a decade now, so it's just kind of my bread and butter, and I had it already. So I'll do all of my design work there and then export over to VCarve Pro. So I need to learn VCarve Pro.
Well, to learn your VCarve Pro, we have a gentleman, Kyle Ely, who is owner and operator of LearnYourCNC.com, a place where you can go and learn anything and everything Vectric, all the way up to the Aspire programming. One low fee gets your entry, and you learn as you go with LearnYourCNC.com. There you go, Kyle.
And not sponsored. But yeah, no, if you get a chance, check out Kyle's program, learn as you go. Chris has taken it. And then, of course, he showed it to me as far as like, this is something totally different in the CNC world. And, yeah, just if you get a minute, check it out for sure. I know that soon, he hasn't really said for sure, but soon he's going to be changing the platform of his. So right now it's like one flat fee for all the programs. So everything from Cut 2D all the way to Aspire. And he's going to be changing that over soon. That's all he tells us. So we don't know for sure when the date is. But he's looking at changing it into, I think, individuals for each program, because someone who's going to be doing just signs doesn't need the Aspire part of it. Someone who's just doing maybe 3D carving doesn't want 2D. So he's looking at different ways, but he hasn't really given us the for sure word yet.
I got you.
The busier we can keep him, the longer it'll take him to change that over. So,
There you go.
Yeah. I know that just in the last, I would say 4 or 5 days, I've sent at least 3 people that way. So people who've purchased CNCs from our day job that I've talked with. So, trying to keep him busy, but as much as we can.
Well, especially since he went part-time at the day job and then he totally quit. So, there you go. Hear it first. January 1st is the target date.
Literally hear it here first.
Yeah. But no, we like to pick. We like to pick because he's kind of like you. We know him well enough to where we can kind of pick on him. For instance, he went to Hawaii. He had himself a great trip. He maybe had, I don't know, 25 pictures, and all but 2 pictures he wasn't smiling. He was just kind of like. And so we were like, were you really there? Were you enjoying yourself whatsoever?
Why did you even go?
No, he had a blast though. He talked about it for a while, but it's just because even in his profile picture for Facebook, it's just like you see the islands in the background. He's just, yep, I'm here.
Yeah,
I
I
wasn't
can,
going to say anything, but I did notice that. It looked like he was having a great time. At a
Yeah, see,
place.
he's just kind of like, yep, I'm here. That's a palm tree.
I can see it now. He's like, oh, why in the trees and the water? And I'm going to go on the boat. And hey, Kyle, we're going to take a picture. 1, 2, 3. This is great. You know.
So anyways, we like to have fun. So, Chris, I have to ask the question, did you steal Chris Miller's shirt from Amana? How'd you get that?
It doesn't say Miller. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
So you know 3 people?
I know 4, but I don't know the other guy has nothing to do with this.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I know you know 2. That's us.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Go for it.
No. Oh, well, I was going to ask about the guitars. You said you're originally into guitars.
Yes.
I'm seeing I'm assuming by the keys you've got a bass behind you, and you've got a.
It's an 8-string.
It is an 8-string. Okay.
8-string nylon. I cannot play it. So yeah, I got into guitar building because I wanted a better guitar when I was younger, but I couldn't afford one. And I was like, oh, hey, it would be really cool to just learn how to build guitars. And so I did. And then I stopped playing guitar because I enjoyed woodworking more. It kind of seems like it might have defeated the purpose of learning how to build guitars. But I mean, I'm not going to question it.
Well, yeah, but now that you have a CNC, you can kind of make your own style and then make it repeatable.
Yeah. So aside from a Telecaster and a Dreadnought acoustic, where did Mike go? You just run away?
I think you offended him and he left. I don't know.
All right.
Well, he gets offended easy. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is. He came back. Was I boring you?
No, the audio just cuts out every once in a while, and it drives me insane because you're sitting there talking, and I'm like, I can't hear a word you're saying. So I just have to refresh, and then it's fine.
Excellent. So aside from a Telecaster that I made and a Dreadnought that's modeled after a Martin, all the guitars that I've made are my own original design. So, and I've made them all with, templates and a hand router or just completely by hand. So it's fun and still repeatable, but I'm definitely looking forward to speeding up that process and, just being able to be a little bit more creative with the designs.
Because having a CNC in the shop, especially for something, guitars and such, it kind of makes it like another employee.
Yes.
Because it can be doing its thing over there and you're doing something else, almost like the indexer on the lathe.
Exactly.
Which is CNC, but so that'll be nice.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited about it. And I have 2 guitars in the queue. One I'll be starting in November, and then another one I'll be starting in February or March. So
very nice.
Yeah, I guess you're going to plan on making good use of that new machine, huh?
I better.
Well, you got a good one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's a beast of a machine.
Indeed. Yeah. I think I've spent probably about a week getting it set up at this point. So definitely ready to start making some chips other than just MDF dust flying everywhere, actual project chips. So
what kind of dust collector do you have hooked up to that beast?
I have a $150 Harbor Freight 660 CFM little dust collector sitting under it. We filled it up in about 20 minutes.
I was going to say, do you think that's going to last?
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually I'll pipe probably from the main dust collector over to the CNC, but for now, just that one fits under the table nice and easy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how long I'll rely on that. So we'll see.
Do you have a separator on your main dust collector?
I don't have a cyclone on the main dust collector. It's just a bag. I previously had a cyclone separator and then sold it. Because the one that I have right now is the Rockler wall mount. Oh, sorry, I wasn't allowed to say that word.
You're
It's
allowed to say that word.
the wall mount dust collector that's like 1500 CFM or something like that, and it does a good job. Pretty happy with it, but I don't know if I'll plumb it to go to the CNC or not because it's kind of opposite ends of the shop.
Right. Yeah, I had that sort of issue when I first got into the CNC side. It was like, man, alive, I got to find something to pull these chips away.
Yeah,
And the best purchase that I made was the Super Dust Deputy from Oneida.
yeah,
And that sat right on top of a tub. And I will tell you, I was emptying my trash can because I had one of those cheap old plastic separators. I was emptying my trash can probably, well, if not probably every other week.
hmm
And I was having to shake out the bag and empty out the clear bag that was catching all the fine dust. I don't know, at least maybe once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks.
hmm
When I was switched over to that Super Dust Deputy, and all it was just that plastic funnel thing that went over the
sure.
tub, I went almost a year without ever changing the plastic bag because it was not only collecting the chips, it was collecting a huge amount of the fine dust as well.
Yeah, great.
And that was so worth the money for that as a, you know, substitute for a true cyclone machine with a lot of CFMs.
Yeah,
So I'm 100% advocate for the Super Dust Deputy system. That thing is fantastic. If you were ever looking, and because you're getting into CNC,
sure.
and I know you run planers and joiners, that
Right.
does a great job of separating that out to limit how much you actually have to change your bag. And it seemed like it was improved the CFMs because my bag wasn't so clogged all the time.
Yeah, I will say, have you heard of the mullet dust collector, the little cyclone that goes onto a shop vac?
Mm-mm.
So they're pretty new. You can find them on Instagram, but it has the cyclone built into a separate canister, and it hooks up to to your shop vac. But I swear that thing improved the airflow of my shop vac.
Mm-hmm.
I've only had it hooked up for a couple of days, and it's really done a good job. So might check that out for shop vac if you want. So what kind of dust collector do you have your Oneida hooked up to?
Well, I don't have the Oneida or my old dust collector anymore. I had it hooked up to a
Here we go.
1100 CFM Rikon at the time that I had completely removed from its housing, and I was just using the squirrel cage.
Yeah, okay.
So the squirrel cage literally sat on top of the dust deputy,
Yeah.
fed it up and then over and into the bag.
Yeah, okay. I had a similar setup with my old Cyclone. I mean, it was an off brand. I can't even remember what it was, but it sounds like it was a pretty similar arrangement.
And now I own a Rikon Cyclone that nobody else in the United States has.
I've heard,
Ziegler knew I was going to go there.
Yeah.
I was wondering why you were rolling your eyes, Mike. I was wondering.
Well, so when we first started the podcast, he had, I think it was like the 5th episode or something, he had it, and he goes to start turning the crank on it, and I recorded that sound and made it into a promo as the most annoying sound in the world, because it really is one of those sounds on a microphone that I mean, in the shop it's one thing, but when you actually record it, it's horrendously hilarious. Yeah, no, we had a whole episode of him going through it, checking it all out, and it's kind of a tester, and then the whole lockdown thing happened, so he kind of is the only one who has one now. Yeah, but it is pretty awesome, I have to say.
And I wish they'd hurry up and get some in. I need to order some replacement tub bags because I kind of ripped mine today, emptying it out. That's okay. So anyway, yeah, it's like, I don't know, 20 200 CFM or something crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. It's very.
You can yeah, you can see it in the background right next to that dust hose over his
Yeah, I can.
shoulder. You can kind of get a glimpse of it, but I mean, he's running the entire shop off that thing easily.
Yeah,
It's pretty impressive.
8-inch pipe for about the first 10 feet, and then everything goes to 6 from there. Oh, it's
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, I need to redo the plumbing in my shop. I did a really dumb thing, and like probably 5 feet away from the dust collector, I have a T, and so the just goes two different directions, and it does okay until I'm running like full width on the 20-inch planer, and then it gets a little angry. But
Yeah.
Well,
Now, for content for myself, see, I would be interested in watching that because I know when running dust collection, there's so many options. Everyone's got something about it, but I don't really see too many people saying, "Well, I ran it this way, and here's what I liked and I didn't like about it, and here's where I'm going to change it, and now let's test this new layout." I don't see a lot of those.
I think that what I would like to do is so in my shop, I have this little bump out. My shop's in the basement. So I have this little bump out. It's the perfect spot to put a dust collector because it's not in the middle of the shop and all the other corners are filled up. So have the dust collector there. So kind of the way that I had to pipe it, it makes sense to have it as a T. But what I'd be interested in doing is instead of having it T, just so close to the main inlet on the dust collector, is actually have it make a loop of some kind, or have a main branch that comes straight out, and then I have Ys in off the main trunk line. The other thing that I'd like to do is put blast gates right at the main trunk line rather than closer to the tool, so that way I have less vacuum loss in the system. But
well, you can make your own on the CNC like I did right there.
Oh,
Because I had that same problem. I ran traditional metal blast gates everywhere, and I even went and bought a couple of the. They're right there. It's hard to see, but they're the clear. They're the clear blast gates that that come down in 6 and then Y off, and then you have two 4-inch ports that branch off of that. So it's a pretty cool setup, but ended up making that for the CNC area, and that works. If I had time, I would go back and make all my blast gates like that.
Yeah. Nice.
And it looks goofy, but I've got paracord attached to it, one piece of green and one piece of red.
Okay.
And then I have some shop knobs that I made on the CNC. So when the green is down, that means that the flow is open. When the red is down, that means it's no flow at all going to it.
Alrighty.
It's kind of like a cam that drops over the blast gate area.
Yeah. Nice. Alrighty. I might have to pester you for that project.
Well, and I think I included that partially in the in my dust collection upgrade video that's on my YouTube page.
Awesome.
And you can kind of get some closer looks at it. And I think I also did some posts on my IG that are just specific towards that. You have to go back a little ways, but they're there.
Okay. Yeah, excellent.
I think it was last year around this time, wasn't it? Somewhere in there, summer or something. I'm trying to think.
It was that far. I think it was 20. It was early this year.
Early this year.
Yeah.
It's been a long 3 years. I don't know. That's what it feels like. But yeah, no, on the dust collection part of it, I mean, there's so many options. There really is. And to figure out what's best for you. I've always been an advocate for the blast gate on the trunk as close to the trunk line as possible, so you don't have as much static line, because you're still creating a vacuum there. So might as well just shut it off at the trunk.
Yeah, sure. Chris, have you seen any performance issues with PVC pipe versus metal, or have you ever used metal pipe? I go back and forth on that.
I know a guy who's got metal that I kind of helped him run his stuff, and in reality, unless you're in an industrial shop running massive lines, the sewer and drain is so smooth on the inside
Hmm.
that it's so minimal. And the
Yeah.
only tool in my entire shop that I can draw any static electricity from, and I don't understand why, is my planer.
Oh, I'm not even talking about static, 'cause I know some
Right,
people are
right.
really
But I
worried
mean,
about explosion.
but yeah, but I mean, as far as that goes, that's the only complaint that I would have using the PVC that I did.
Hmm.
And I've used my friend that I'd helped set up a long time ago. You know, I think he had sold that shop at this point, but um, yeah, if you look around, you can see tons and tons of videos, people that'll discuss the metal versus PVC, and with the cost of metal right now, there's no way that's justifiable to
Sure.
the normal home shop kind of guy.
Sure. So I used the HVAC snap together
Hmm.
ducting. You know what I'm talking about? And as far as I know, it's been just fine. The only qualm that I have, though, or the only issue that I run into is if, especially with the planer, and especially before I got a helical head for it. But if I was planing something like maple, the screws that I had to use to connect those pieces together would sometimes start to cause a bird's nest because, like one chip will
Hmm.
get caught on a screw and then, just kind of snowballs from there. But uh,
Now, I will say this: if you upgrade your dust collection to something that's got more power, you may want to consider not using the metal that ducting pipe. It's such
yeah,
a thin gauge that if you close off all of your blast gates by accident, which happens to everybody, it can go.
I've heard people say that, but I've never seen any flexing with the two or three different dust collectors I've had over the years with this piping. But yeah, it's definitely something that's kind of been in the back of my head after I heard it the first time.
Well, and it's all about the gauge too.
Sure.
So
You get what you pay for then?
Yeah,
Something along those
that's
lines.
what I hear.
So, okay, so the blue pipe behind you then, that is just standard drain pipe, or is there a specialty? Because I mean, you don't see a lot of blue pipe like that.
that's the standard sewer and drain that Lowe's sells
Oh, okay.
and Home Depot. It's thinner walled, so you get actually more opening inside the pipe, and it's much cheaper than regular PVC. This white piece of 8 inch over here, good gravy! If that was insane, I could only afford one section. But the sewer and drain, it actually was probably almost a third less for a 10-foot stick
Mhm.
than standard Schedule 40.
Yeah.
Now, is there a pressure rating on that? Since it's just a drain, sewer and drain line, it's typically not under pressure.
Well, it's not like yeah, it's not there is, but dust collection doesn't put it under pressure like water does.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's never completely sealed up and expected to hold, you know,
Right. It's
200
not
pounds of pressure at
pressurized.
all
Yeah.
times. Yeah. So, it dust collection is completely different, and it hasn't had any issues. And I sealed all mine with foil tape instead of duct tape. The foil tape seems to bond better to the curves and seal off just fine. So,
Well, the only reason I ask that is because when you get into like, running lines off a compressor, there's now a debate on use PVC, don't use PVC on it because it can stand 150 psi. And
mhm.
some people are saying that it'll shatter over time. It gets weaker over time. So I know that the drain isn't pressurized, but I'm sure there's a rating of some sort for it being round. It's a cylinder,
Yeah.
so it's going to have a strong structure. But in case the debate comes up, I was going to answer that question. I could have Chris's opinion on that. I can look smarter than I am.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing, but I've been to plenty of industrial shops where, be it right or be it wrong, they're running, regular Schedule 40 PVC for their air compressor.
Mhm.
I've seen it all the time. When I started seeing people saying that it's exploding, I didn't know if maybe it was a bad batch
Yeah, and I
or
wonder
just old.
if it's what was it like? PEX in the '90s was so popular, and if people are confusing that for
PVC.
regular PVC, because I know PEX had a really bad problem about water lines busting.
Yeah, especially under high heat situations.
Mm-hmm.
Or are they mistaking standard true Schedule 40 that you'd use for your traditional water lines for like the cheaper brother CPVC or something like that that definitely has some faults.
That could be.
Yeah.
I know that I've always grown up around either conduit. I've seen conduit used or just galvanized pipe. Standard black pipe or standard galvanized pipe being used for.
Yeah.
The only thing is that galvanized makes sense because there's going to be water in the line.
Right.
So PVC, I do see it making sense, but I don't know. That's next on my list is to run a line directly through either the brick or the main piece of wood that's on the side of the garage door.
Yeah.
Because right now I just run a hose straight to the air compressor, straight out. Like I just don't run an airline, but it would be nice to have an airline constantly ready to be plugged in.
Yeah. I not what was it? Spring, I guess. I finished up a shed for my air compressor, and it is so nice to have it out of the shop. So that way, if it blows up, it doesn't blow up the shop. And mainly for the noise, though. But so I just put a section of flexible hose through my conduit through the wall, but then it plugs directly into copper pipe that runs. I have like a main trunk that runs through the shop, and then standard air hoses off of that.
Gotcha. So you're running fresh air from outside?
For the air compressor. The dust collector's inside, but the air compressor's outside. And then it has a drain. It has an auto drain that when I forget to turn it off. So it cycles every 40 minutes. That's the longest that I can have it cycle between automatically draining. And so we'll be going for a walk. And if I forget to turn it off, we'll be like around the corner of the house and just all of a sudden. And either my wife or my daughter will jump and I just start laughing.
Yeah, try it. So mine's in the basement, and try forgetting to leave it on at 3:00 in the morning. You only do that once. Let me
No,
tell you.
that happens too. That happens too. More than once because I just
Oops.
don't think about it.
Yep. It's a big oopsie on that one, but
Yeah.
it is. It's one of those things where as soon as it comes on, you're like, oh, well, if you wait 2 minutes, it'll go away.
No worries.
Yeah, and it shouldn't come back on again until in the morning. I'll just go out there and cut it off before I go to work.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, except for me, it's kind of like, oh, I'm here. I need the air compressor on.
One of the benefits of working from home.
Yeah.
One
of the downsides is that you can always work.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to lay out when you're your own boss and you work from home.
Yeah.
What would be your favorite project of all time?
You should have given me a warning.
Nah, it's too much fun to do it like this and make.
Well, we can talk about the shirt if you want.
The shirt?
Yeah, the shirt that you're wearing.
I love my Carhartt shirt. So
he could have changed it back real quick, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well done. I was just trying to give you something to,
No, we're not talking about that project.
Okay, what's your worst project? The project you've hated the most? Would that be an easier one to identify?
I don't know. I love all my projects.
We are not here to throw softballs at you, Mike. This is a hard hitting news agency.
Yeah,
only ask the good ones.
Well, I guess. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Favorite project. We'll answer that one. I really like my desk that I made. So like I love building guitars, I love building, general furniture, but I think I really like my desk that I built, um, because it was a design that I had like full um, full control over. So it was kind of all of the style that I wanted. So I like a little bit more modern furniture, but I really like vintage stuff as well. So the desk is a ambrosia maple top, and then it has a kind of like an airspace, if you will, between the underside of the tabletop and the top of the cabinets on the left and right side. So it stands off with a couple of steel tubes that I painted oil rub bronze, or like brass oil rub bronze. I'm bad with colors. Um, so then the cabinets on the left and right are painted, and I was trying to make them look like they were vintage steel, and I mean the color came off just about perfect.
Nice.
Lots of people have asked, like, is that metal? No, it's not actually. It's wood. You can't stick magnets to it. It's crazy. Uh, but yeah, I think probably my favorite project.
Cool. You should have mounted plates on the inside of it so that you could stick magnets to it.
Yeah, well, hindsight.
Didn't really fool them.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, there. Yeah, okay. I have seen this before. So, what did you use to have the stands between the cabinet and the slab top?
Some sections of steel tube.
Okay.
And so the way that I fastened it was I actually ran screws through the inside of those tubes into the underside of the tabletop.
Here, I'll show it real quick.
I was going to ask, are you going to show us, or are you just going to keep looking at it all by yourself?
Yeah, Mike's just over there like, ooh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So tell me about these monitor speakers you got. No.
Those were bought on Amazon.
Tisk. Not that it's Amazon, it's just you bought speakers on Amazon. Let's see here. All right. Go to upload.
I was worried I wasn't allowed to say the A word.
Oh, you can say
well, it depends on which A word, but we try to keep it clean around here.
We try to keep this a family show there, Mike. Yeah.
I mean, Amazon can be offensive. Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Hey, are those is that base metal?
No, actually, you'd be surprised. It looks like it would be base or metal, but it's actually wood.
All right, so and the poles, they look like the old card readers on the Dewey Decimal System at the library.
Yeah, we were going for a file cabinet look. So on the left-hand side, the top drawer is just a, paper, pencil drawer, whatever. My printer is actually in the middle drawer, and then file cabinet is in the bottom left. And then on the right-hand side, obviously another thin paper, pencil drawer. And then my CPU, my drawing tablet, my all computer stuff is in the bottom right.
And your cord management is flawless.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. So that all routes behind the, I make furniture, but I don't actually know what that middle piece is called. I cannot remember.
Stretcher.
Stretcher works. Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah. Okay. That there piece in the middle, in the back, all of the cords are routed behind there. The power supply or the power strip is back there. So yeah, it's all nice and tidy. I can't say that the desk is currently as tidy as it is in that picture, but
it always is the first day.
Yeah, it was clean for a minute, and then I started using it.
That's how it goes. It's fun.
Yeah,
I believe the technical term for that is the cord Heidi cabinet connector thingy.
That works. I mean, I didn't know the technical term. You came up with one, so that works.
We'll go with it. I like it. Cord Heidi. Yeah, so you can buy those now on Amazon or shop woodshopmike.com for your cord Heidi panel stretcher thingy for your desk.
Or you can get the plans for free over on Craig's website and make it yourself.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, I really like. Oh, I could have done that. Well, there's more pictures on there. So visit woodshopmike.com by all means, because there's actually quite a few pictures on this thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. There it is. You can also check out Mike and on Instagram, woodshopmike. Make sure you follow. Stay tuned. You have really good stories. Probably one of my favorites that I like to watch.
Oh, thanks. I just ramble, but
You ramble, but it's not annoying ramble. Like there's some that just ramble and you're kind of like, yeah, fast forward. Like yours are you genuinely like, here's what I'm doing today. Here's what I ran into, blah, blah, blah. Like I wish I could do those. I'm like, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm working on. I don't want to sit and talk to people about it. And at the same time, I probably should, because I get more questions on not stating what I'm doing.
Yeah.
In today's story, Mike Ziegler sprays a cabinet.
Just today. Yeah. Today was
in
different.
Tomorrow's story, Mike Ziegler sprays another cabinet.
No, Mike sprays white. Tomorrow, Mike sprays white.
The next day, Mike scrapes parts of the white off.
You've got it down to a science. You know how I work.
Yeah, man. I still don't have quite the same gun speed though. You know, I try, but I can't get it down.
He's the fastest draw in the East. I'll tell you right there.
Yeah, someone said it was the fastest gun in east of the Mississippi or something along those. It was Angus. That's who it was. But today with the new V8, I had to slow it down because I don't have it dialed in yet. I will say that their regulator that they have is crucial.
Yeah.
Because I thought, usually I just do it by sound and I do it by feel and then I spray it on there and I'm seeing it. But when I went back to the other one, the MPX30, it has the regulator on it. I realized I had way too much air pressure on the other one. Like I thought I had dialed down, but no, it requires so little air pressure to get much more atomization out of it. So I was actually wasting product on testing this one. So now I got to get a regulator, but well worth it. I'm telling you, I don't even know how to describe just how much nicer it is. Yeah. It really is worth the money. Yeah. And of course, go ahead.
Have you used the Apollo guns or turbine?
Nope, I haven't done I'm more of a traditional compressor. Actually one of the first times in probably 10 years or so, maybe longer, was using Chris's for the extravaganza, the Fuji. I had not sprayed with a turbine, but I mean, it feels the same. It really does. They're nice. Yeah. And I know you're more of an Apollo guy for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I settled into. I used the same kit that you recommended to me years ago for a long time.
Oh, that Husky?
Yeah, just the Husky kit, shooting out of the air compressor, and I mean that does a great job. Mm-hmm. But I like the turbine because like when we were refinishing the cabinets in our laundry room, just take it all upstairs. I don't have to run an air hose, through the house and then some to be able to spray some cabinets. And there's way less overspray with the turbine than I ever got with the air compressor. So
no, I have to say I noticed that there was a lot less in the air when spraying that General Finishes milk paint. Yeah. There was a lot less in the air. It was much easier to control.
Yeah, that's what I use. I kind of hate the extra time that it takes versus shooting a solvent-based finish, but the finish when it's all done is beautiful. And I always shoot General Finishes milk paint and then the high performance top coat over top of that. Mm-hmm. And man, it gives such a good silky smooth finish.
And then the other thing I like about doing that process where you have the color coat underneath a clear coat is it's easier to touch up if you scratch it.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've seen a lot of people that spray, the top coat is the color coat, but if you scratch it, then you've got to try to blend that back in. That's not as easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here I was complaining and thinking I wanted to switch to, color and top coat in one, and you just gave me a reason to not. So
well, if you're doing installs, don't do it. because
Yeah.
everything possible that could go wrong during an install will go wrong during an install eventually.
Oh,
And if you're trying to touch it up, it's a lot harder to mask it and try to pretend it's not there. Like
yeah.
everyone will see it because it just stands out. But if it's clear coat, easy scuff, a little bit of, either like what is it? My mind goes blank now. Mohawk has that perfect blend, or they have a water based that
Hmm.
blends, and you can't tell it was there if there was a scratch. And it
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be the same water based product, which is why I like it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the same compatibility or anything, because usually what they're basing it on is that you've sprayed it within the last 30 days.
Okay.
So if it's anything past that, you might want to do the perfect blend only. But if it's within 30 days of spraying your clear coat, then you can do their water-based blender. I think they call it waterborne. They call it waterborne. Sorry. But that way you're good to go. Scratches, whatever you have on there. The paint's still good. It's still a good color. And you're just fixing only the scratch, which is on the top coat.
Hmm.
Painting one seems like a great idea, but I'll tell you now, it's just
Worth it.
not worth it if you're doing installs or if you're trying to deliver the piece or something where it's not going to be at your house.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Alrighty. So like 95% of my stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Because I see more people that spray all in one and then they don't show you, but they will call and ask or just message me or something saying, hey, this happened. What can I do to fix it? And it's kind of like, at this point, you got to get yourself one of those touch-up markers you fill up yourself. Go fill it up with what you put on there, and that's as close as you're going to get. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, I had, you were talking about everything that can go wrong, will go wrong. I was building a corner cabinet for a client, and they wanted, first, they wanted hickory stained to be close to their existing cabinets. And we were doing pre-finished plywood for the inside and everything, which I love pre-finish on one hand, and then I hate it on the other hand because I'm terrified that I'm going to scratch it while I'm cutting on the table saw or assembling the cabinet or whatever, and then you have this gigantic gouge, and what do? Anyways. So they changed their mind. They wanted the cabinet to be all black. So I got to enjoy making raised panel doors out of hickory just to paint them black, and then painted the inside of the pre-finished cabinet black. And so I scuff sanded the pre-finish and everything. And when I got on site, I peeled a piece of blue painter's tape off because I was marking where my mounting screws needed to go, and it was right at a corner, and it peeled some of that paint off, and I was just like, because it's black, and then it's like super blonde maple, and I mean, thank God I had brought some touch-up paint with me, and I tried touching it up, and eventually, like, I really hate to admit this, but I just kind of like had to glob it on there because it kept, smearing. Because even though I had scuffed the pre-finish, I think just since it was water-based finish, maybe it didn't want to grab quite as well. I don't know what the issue was, but I eventually got it so it looked good, and it was in a corner inside the cabinet, so you couldn't it wasn't a total eyesore. But man, that whole job was kind of a nightmare.
So maybe that's the nightmare one that Chris was
Yeah,
I
I didn't really want to go there because I don't know. I'm thankful for all the projects, but
maybe instead of
a little bit.
It's a nightmare due to the install, due to that problem, I can tell you there's three things to consider. One is that, and it's not sponsored at all, but Klingspor has a yellow tape. It's called the 777. It's the only tape I found that even on an so what I do is I'll sand and I'll stain the tops of a table. Then, and this was within the same day, I'll, do the sealer, I'll do the top coat, give it like maybe 2 hours, and then I'll put this yellow tape all the way around, flip the table upside down, and then completely do the rest of it white. It doesn't pull the finish with that yellow tape. There's no transfer, so the glue doesn't leave on the surface as well as it doesn't pull the finish. What is it, Chris? I mean, I remember you introduced it to me a long time ago. It's automotive tape, right?
Yeah, it's something they worked. The Klingspor automotive team worked closely with the manufacturer to create this crazy unique product. They wanted to basically take 3M and kick their butt with it because 3M's gold tape was kind of everybody's go-to, and this beat it in every way.
Nice.
Yeah, they in the testing they put it on glass, metal, plastic, paint, fiberglass, and other things that pretty much anything and everything that would be on a car. They left it outside. It was a car the guy drove around town in. I mean, it was kind of funny because when he pulled in, it was the car he drove there in. There was yellow tape stuck everywhere. And it was in sort of in the middle of winter, so it went through a 50-degree day. Then it went through a season of rain and sleet and sort of ice, all within this week span. Welcome to North Carolina. And when he pulled in, part of the video testing was he was peeling every bit of that off, and it had been on there like 7 days, and there was zero residue transfer, and it was zero issues with anything that got peeled away during the testing. And it's impervious to water.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
water just sits on it with a bead.
Nice.
So it's a good thing to have on hand if you're doing installs or if you're going to do the pre-finish with the cutting and you've already painted it and you can still cut through it and yet you can pull it right back off. And I found it best to be at a 90-degree shear pull. Like when you're pulling tape, a lot of people just kind of yank the tape. You really want to do a 90-degree if possible. The other thing I can think of for that install in particular would be, what grit did you sand the pre-finish with?
It was 120.
Perfect. So see, that's all correct.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the pre-finished stuff, they're using a UV cured water-based. Yeah. So it's kind of a tough one. Chris, I turned him on to it. It's called Ultra Flow Ultra Bond from Mohawk. It's lacquer based. But if you ever have to touch up anything that's been UV cured, that stuff blends and will bond to it without any issues. So if it's something in the future, if you're doing the pre-finished stuff and it's already and you're worried about getting scratched, that stuff will completely blend it. You'll never see it.
Excellent. It's good to know. I knew if I had a trouble, you're just a phone call away.
Yeah, anytime, man. You know that. But yeah, no, it's one of those where you find out from word of mouth, really, and then people say, "Yeah, I tried this stuff," and then you try it, and it's like, "Wow!" So I do all of my pulls now are done with that Ultra Flow because it is the nicest overall sheen of flat. It looks so good, and out of an aerosol can, I can't beat it. There's nothing else I found better. And then Chris got turned onto it with all of his 3D stuff before he got his Fuji. And so now he understands the power of a good aerosol can versus a box store, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just sprayed all of my daughter's pieces with it, the little date month things that I just posted.
Oh, okay.
That's what I sprayed that with.
Yeah, 'cause you had that going in the shop at the same time you had a bunch of other stuff going, right? Because when you panned over to it in your story, it was still wet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good stuff. So, and 100% not sponsored, just stuff we use. Here to help you out, Mike, anytime.
I appreciate that.
Well, see, any closing statements for you this evening? What did you think of the show so far?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good hanging out, chatting. Always good talking shop.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to make it, is just something where it's just a conversation. It's whatever comes up, comes up.
Yeah.
We didn't have any good questions tonight, which is surprising. I'm wondering if they're either asleep or, they're just enthralled by the across the board conversation.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the booger comment on Twitch. There's always a booger comment. So if you ever do Twitch, Mike, just so you know up front, there's always going to be someone who's asking you the booger question.
All right. Yeah. And I'm just surprised I didn't get any questions about the gash on my forehead.
You have a gash on your forehead?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you can't see it, but like right here.
Okay.
I was bolting the baseboard or the base layer for my CNC to the cross members. I'm laying up underneath the CNC, and I have a trigger clamp above me. I had to move it because it was covering a hole. You see where this is going?
Mm-hmm.
And released it. And you know, like the Bessie trigger clamps, I love them because they move so smoothly, especially when they're headed towards your forehead. And I mean, it was one of their heavy duty trigger clamps too, and those move much more freely. I released it and it just clocked me right between the eyes. And I guess the best part is I got it on video because I'm doing a video on putting the CNC together.
Yeah.
And you see me just like get smacked and then just kind of lay there for a second. But I didn't realize it had broken the skin. So then I sit up in the video and you just see like blood kind of pooled on my forehead.
Dang.
Sounds like bonus content for the end of the video.
Yeah, exactly. So that happened yesterday. I came upstairs and my daughter's like, Daddy, what happened to your head? But it's healing up pretty quick. So
the face and the hands are always the fastest to heal. Thank you very much, Kyle. So I have to have that question of what was your first thought when it hit you in the head?
just, dang it, I should have moved my head. Yeah.
I always think of whenever I do something, I'm like, I won't get donk and it hits you in the head. It's almost like, yep, you just pulled that one off. Like, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
I wonder if I should move this. Nah, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's well enough secured. We're good.
I mean, it's kind of funny because I was looking in the mirror and I mean, like, it is just dead center right between my eyes. I was like, well, I was looking right at the thing. I had a really good line of sight on that. Well,
no, I mean, really, in video wise, you really can't tell there's anything there.
All right. Well,
so even better. So whatever content you got coming up, don't worry about
it. I don't know. This camera is a little bit more hazy than my cell phone. So, but good to know.
They call that the fingerprint effect.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. I did smear my hand all over the lens before I put it up. So.
We have a great makeup team here to really help hide any blemishes.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, y'all's complexion looks stunning.
Yeah, we go with left thumb. That's usually the right on the. Yeah. One thing about the Note 9 that I love and I hate at the same time is the fingerprint opener is right below the camera. So there's a lot of times where I'll go to post a story or something and forget to clean it. Like I just, I'm in the moment there and I'm like, oh, that looks great. Like you can't see anything that I'm doing, especially whenever the sun's involved.
Mm-hmm. My last camera or my last phone, somehow the main lens got a crack like right in the middle of it. And it never caused any trouble with the images unless it was dusk and there was like a light in the distance, and then it would just like refract light all through the lens. But the majority of the time, you couldn't even tell that it had a cracked lens. It was really weird.
That is really weird. I wonder if it's just the lighting. It had to open up the lens more or something. I don't know. So, okay, here's a question for you. Since you're a content creator, videoing, what is your go-to camera?
So for YouTube, my main camera is a Panasonic GH5, and I use a zoom lens on it. It's a Olympus. I think it has a 1.3 aperture, and it's something like 14 to 25 millimeter. But it's a really good lens for just about anything that I have to do. So get good close-ups without having the camera right in the way, and pretty good wide angle to capture a 4x8 work area without much issue.
So I think it was you did the cabinets or something downstairs a while back, and I remember that how you were filming it, you could get every bit, and they were not small cabinets, like they were what, 12 feet?
Are you talking about the built-ins?
Yeah.
Did I do some 12-foot cabinets? I don't remember.
They looked like they were 12 feet anyways. I mean, you had a lot of cabinet.
Yeah. Yep. So that was that camera. I was still using that one then, and then I got a little GoPro a while back. The Hero 9, I think, is right now. It's basically just a desk ornament. Yeah, it's the 9. Um, but it does pretty well. And I usually only use that when I'm wanting to get a different angle for time lapse.
Hmm.
Um, so it's nice to have just that secondary camera and something that I can send through the planer to get a cool shot and not worry too much about if it gets crunched. But
That's true. Now you have to check out Chris's stuff because he puts it. Well, do you do the action camera now, or are you just still doing the cell phone and the dust shoot?
I vary it depending on what I'm looking for. Like him, if I'm looking for a good time lapse, sometimes I'll throw the action camera above the CNC so you can catch it all. But then when I want really cool up close shots, I actually stick my phone down the dust chute, and I've learned a trick to get really really clean, good looking shots.
oh
And
yeah,
you can, when I do slow mo, you can see the dust just swirling, and you're looking right at the bit. And
all right,
Trying to think of some stuff for your, when you're doing the shop bod. It'd be kind of cool to see
yeah,
it. It's
no,
just
that'd be awesome.
the way he pulls it off is kind of, and then when he tells you how he did it, you're like, wait a minute, what? Like you're just holding it with your hand? Oh yeah.
I'm glad that I still have my previous phone that still has a pretty good camera because I'm definitely not putting my new one that close to the CNC.
No, I
oh,
agree.
don't worry. When I hold it in the port, I'm holding it like this, and I'm resting it against the top of the port.
Hmm.
So it's got full support both with my hands, my fingers, and the top of the lip of the dust shroud.
I got you. Okay, so Mike said in the dust chute, and I was thinking like you just set it in there and were like,
No, 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 no.
That's what it looks like though. The way that he does
yeah,
it, it looks like he mounted the camera inside the dust chute because you still have the dust coming around. Like it looks cool.
mm,
So you just have to check
Yeah,
it for your stuff. Add
you
it to
gotta
your
you gotta you
repertoire.
gotta blow it out pretty good when you're once I do a
yeah,
shot like that, because it gets a lot of dust up around the lens and the earpiece. But
I bet so.
So, anyways, I just thought I'd ask because I liked how your angles were. Now that I'm getting more into the photography and the video making for our for our day jobs at Klingspor, I'm paying attention. The more educated I became, the more I'm paying attention to simple little things that most people probably wouldn't see. I'm now seeing like, oh, I see
Yeah,
that now.
man, it takes forever to shoot content that is even halfway worth watching.
yep.
You know, and uh, it's amazing how much time it adds to a project, and that's just shooting the content. That's not even editing all the content.
Hmm.
There's so many times I'm tempted to just be like, uh, speed it up 10,000 percent and just be like done.
Done.
But that won't serve anyone or teach anyone very well. So
No, I'm finding out that it's one of those where you have to now plan on the content to be added to the project.
oh yeah,
It's not
yeah,
going to be something you can just throw in there while you're doing it. It has to be added to the whole angle, and everything has to be added to that mix.
yeah. And scheduling wise, that's something that I still work on. Like I feel like I keep adding more and more time to my schedule for like pushing out projects. So okay, I can start your project, Mr. or Mrs. Client, at this time, and then I'm like, I'm still a week behind. What's going on? It's just it takes so much time,
Hmm.
Yep.
and I even outsource half of the video editing now. So it's
Nothing wrong with that.
oh no, it's just I mean I love being able to outsource some of the work. It's just continually surprising to me that how does this take that much time? Kind of wonder where your days go.
Yep.
And that's why a lot of folks buy multiple cameras and then they just keep going. But like in my case, I stopped trying to set up special lighting
Hmm. Yeah,
because that really takes up so much space and time, and then it's a safety hazard. And I
yeah,
said, you know what? I just installed LEDs in my whole shop,
yeah.
and that makes at least I'm getting decent shots most of the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had when we first moved in, I found a bunch of fluorescent lights on Facebook Marketplace, and it was good. It was a great place to start. But then, as I kept recording, I just wasn't happy with how bright the shots were, or the color, the color cast from the lighting that was being thrown because of the fluorescent lights. So the majority of the shop is now LEDs, and the area where the CNC is all LED. And the video that I've shot of setting up that machine is so much better, that I'm really looking forward to switching over the rest of the shop to just LED. And I don't have to use spotlighting anymore, because the shop is so well lit.
Yep, that makes a huge difference. Just have plenty of LEDs everywhere overhead.
Yeah, I might be blind by the time I'm 50, but it'd be all right.
It'd be okay.
I'm already half blind, so.
So thanks for joining us, Woodshop Mike. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm glad you joined us on this. I really am.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So was this your first podcast?
I think this is third podcast. So.
Sweet. It's always interesting to find out, if you didn't know people did a podcast, it's interesting to find out that they had already done one. Then you go look it up. I gotta go find it.
Yeah. And he says, after this, I'm not doing another one.
This is it. I'm done.
No, thanks, guys. It was fun.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Remember, Wednesday nights at 9 p.m., Whatnot Podcast. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast mediums, Apple Store, Google, Spotify, all of that fun stuff. We'll be there. And who do we have coming up soon? Can you name any names there, Mr. Chris? Look forward to next week.
None that have fully confirmed. We've got 2 potentials ready to go, and I can't name names.
They're trying to see what this episode would be like before they confirm.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they don't. Let's hope they don't use this one as a guide. But but no, congratulations on everything you're doing, and just you keep getting better. And I'm excited to kind of see what your stuff's going to be with this new CNC. It's just going to be really cool. And if you want to learn your CNC, check out learnyourcnc.com for all of your software needs. Learnyourcnc.com.
Wasn't ready on that one. Nice job. That was it. Yeah. That's a perfect segue. I have to say that was Chris is getting better at these commercial things for sure. He's getting that radio voice down pat.
Well, he only paid us for a 15-second that time, so I had to make it shorter.
Oh, well, here, that was only 14 seconds. So there we go. I just make sure I get that full 15 in there for him. Get that check in the mail for us. But Mike, thank you very much for joining us. Again, if you want to do this in the future for number 4 on your podcast, let us know after you get the CNC going.
For episode 23, was that?
Yeah, episode 23, exactly. If you're not busy next week, no, but when you get it up and you start messing around with it some, going down that road or whatever, just let us know. It'd be great to have you on with a panel of other CNC owners.
And honestly, I would love to have you back on when you do your project that you can't talk about later.
Yeah, no.
When you can talk about it. And then say, hey, remember that night? This is what happens.
Yeah, no, sounds great.
I'm looking forward to it because I know whenever you do a partnership with something, you always put in the full amount of effort to it. You don't ever kind of skimp on any part of it. Which is why we followed your video for doing the porch. Literally, for the flooring and stuff.
Yeah, that's been a popular one.
Well, thank you very much for watching the Whatnot Podcast. I am Mike Z.
I'm Chris, and this guy here is
Mike.
There you go. Y'all have a great night, everybody.
We'll see you.
This weather man.